Welcome to the show. We hope you have a blast. Thanks for making time for the Dealer Talk podcast. Another business leader, here's a penny for your thoughts. This ain't a regular conversation, baby. This that Dealer Talk. Yeah, this that.
Hey, welcome to the show. There you go, big guy. It's nice to have you on the show, man. A fellow podcaster, an OG of the car business, a CEO, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Herb Anderson, guys. Welcome to the show, man.
What up, man? Thanks for the invite. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. I came across your show, and I'll tell you, I thought the show was awful, but your song, your no, your show's great, man. Your show's great.
That's great.
But your song's dope, bro. You're making me want to put lyrics to my intro, man. You're making me want to put lyrics to the intro.
Right on, man. I'll, if you need some writing inspiration, let me know.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, did you write the lyrics?
I helped with a lot of it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. I love that. Yeah, I love that. So I do a lot of fun stuff, man. You're obviously a creative. That's why you're in the podcast space, which is great. But I do a lot of, I've got an alter ego that most people on this show don't know, though, my listeners. And his name is Uncle Savings. And so I'm going to tell you, I love like 1980s, 1990s car commercials. Shoot 'em up prices, slashing high prices, cutting mattresses in half, breaking windows and tearing down high prices. There's something about that just turns me on. So I've got an alter ego that I dress up in costumes depending on the, holiday. I'll do, it started with a Veterans Day sale, and I went and rented or bought rather a full Uncle Sam costume, and I created this Uncle Savings alter ego, and it's been fun. So.
Right on.
What got you in the podcast space, man? How'd that happen?
Oh, dude. So I was a rep, right? So I used to work for Cox Automotive, for Auto Trader, KBB, and then I went to work for GS Marketing, one of the Toyota distributors. And I've just been kind of studying the business, man, since I started. And I was having these amazing conversations with decision makers, and I was like, dude, learning a bunch. And I was like, how can I share this stuff? And so I thought at the time, the platform that best suited that was podcasting. I could just go with the people that were open to it, record the conversations and share those. And that was kind of how I envisioned the beginning of it. And so we kind of got going, but then I started to learn a bunch by having people on the show and like doing the podcast with me. So it became sharing, and it became a way for me to kind of accelerate my learning as well. So.
It's wild how much of an education you get and how quick it happens. Just by taking the conversations to be able to expand your network out. And that's the thing. That's why I encourage people to listen to my show, your show, Car Guy Coffee Podcast, whatever it is that whatever flavor you like or whatever flavor you're feeling like that day, and then take in multiple channels, because there's lots of different points of view, and it's an education, right? I mean, the conversations that we get to have on here, it's hard to sit down with a Ford OEM rep, or it's hard to get a hold of a dealer principal if you're a new salesperson or trying to learn how to navigate your career and you can't figure out how to get to that next step or get out of retail and into a vendor space. And how did you make that jump? Since we're talking about it, how did you because I know you were, let's back up. How did you get in the car business, and where in the world are you from?
Oh, dude. All right. So I don't know if you have enough time for this, man. So let's see. I started.
Actually, I do.
So I started on the FIXEDOPS side of things. I was a lube tech, tire technician, and so that's how I kicked it off. And I'm originally from Venezuela. I came to United States late '90s, and started going to school and trying to pay my way through that. And that the job that I was offered just helped me cover a lot of my expenses. And so, I don't know, did somebody at the dealership that I was at in the beginning, saw something in me, and they told me to keep on this path, and we don't know what we're going to do with you yet. Like, they started asking me questions like what area of the business you want to get into. I really wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to be a technician. And
Really?
yeah, dude. And so because I love the camaraderie that you see, you know, those guys were back in those days anyway, they were joking a bunch. Everybody's having a good time. They were making really good money. And I've always liked to fix things, you know what I mean? Like repair things. It's just something that I enjoy. And so I made a deal with my manager at the time, and I was like, hey, if you put me on this apprenticeship program, I'll listen. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'll be one of your top techs. And he's like, okay, I'm going to put you in this program. It's going to take a year, but you got to do everything I say. Never question it. Just do it. And I was like, okay, well, let's roll. Dude, the day before the year was up, this guy, throws me a shirt, and he's like, man, I think you'd be really good with people. Why don't you give that a month and see how that works? And so I went up to the counter.
Really?
Yeah, dude. And then I got my first check, and it was like 5 G's or something like that. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, I'm going to do this. So, just like anything in the car business, you get that first check, man. And you're like, oh man, what? Like, I remember talking to him and being like, dude, I think payroll made a mistake with my check. And he's like calculating everything. And he's like, no, dude, your check's fine. And I was like, oh my God.
Matter of fact, we owe you an extra $60. Yeah, we owe you 60 more bucks.
And then he showed me his check, and I was like, what the? That was it.
When did you come to America from Venezuela?
So 1998. It's funny, because there was a change in the government there, and I just kind of knew what was coming down the pipe, and I needed to get out of there as fast as possible. So, yeah.
And how old were you when you left?
So I was 17. Right as soon as I finished high school.
Wow.
I left.
Wow. What's wild about that, and what I have a great appreciation for stories of immigration and people that come here. Like, I listen to a PBD podcast. I don't know if you listen to Patrick Bet David, but also, I mean, what a story, right? From Iran with the Shah, living in refugee camps, literally with his father, to the military, to owning one of the most successful companies. Great podcast, but they have this hunger and this different desire and this still idea that the American dream exists, right? Like you didn't run to Russia, you didn't run to Africa, you didn't run to Europe. You were like, hey, I need to go to a place that's good. And you came here and you found success. I just think it's amazing. What's it like coming from, and this is a car sales podcast or whatever it is, but like, I care about people and what makes them run. So like, what was the idea that you had as a young person in Venezuela? You see what's coming down the pipe and you're thinking, hey, I need to make a change. Why not another country? Like, why did you choose America, right?
Well, I have some ties here. Like my father my dad is Swedish, but he pretty much was raised here in the U.S. Okay. And so, I had some ties here. I had the opportunity to come here and, go to school and all that stuff with him. But so that's the main reason why. Okay. But then he died like 4 months after I got there. And it was like, I remember living every month thinking like, okay, well, if I don't make it this month, this is the month I go back. And I did that for like 2 or 3 years, Wow. So, and then I was here and I was like, I know this is going to sound super cliche, but I was like, dude, like I have an opportunity in this country that people back home would kill for. Right. And so I was like, I'm here, man. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to ride this thing all the way through. So.
How awesome, man. I mean, I don't know what your life looks like outside this camera, but I mean, you don't build a podcast if you're not doing okay. And you don't spend 20 years in the automobile industry doing what you're doing and not be okay. So, I mean, what a success, man. Congratulations on grinding yourself all the way from, literally coming here with probably not much, I would imagine. I mean, right. I mean, even if you had some kind of start, I'm not saying you walked here or whatever like that, but obviously you didn't come here with a, $500,000 house and, 10 million in the bank account. I mean, you came over here and you earned your way, and that's amazing, man.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice. That alternative would have been great.
Listen, let's make that a reality.
I accept.
So you find your way to the car business. You work. How did you move from the sales side to the vendor side? Right. How did that switch
from service? I never did sales.
From service. That's right. From service.
Yeah. From service to service. So that was interesting too. I had an opportunity to do something that was a little bit unique when I left the dealership, and that was export management. So I would go to manufacturers like body shops and things like that, and they sell their products.
Right.
So sell their products internationally. So the people that manufacture stuff here in the auto body space,
yeah,
we would take their products internationally and sell them in other countries.
Wow.
And so I thought that was pretty unique. I got to kind of stay in the realm of the automotive business, and at the same time, I got exposure to do business in other countries and develop markets. And I was kind of like, I was now going to college, and I was trying to get a degree in international business, and all those things kind of tied together. And it was a perfect opportunity to put all the things that I liked: business, the car aspect, the automotive industry, traveling, all these things together. So,
yeah. How much?
And then from there,
no, go ahead. I was going to say, how much influence did the travel have on what you did in the future? Like, I mean, just the exposure to the international business. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I thought there was a break, but
no, it's fine. I mean, it was good, because when you think about it, like if you're that's changed a little bit now with COVID, but if you were a rep back in the time when I started, you're pretty much a road warrior, right? You're gone Monday through Thursday at least. Typically, most of these companies give you Friday or Monday as your office day, and the rest of the time you're gone.
Right.
And I'm not a guy, I don't believe in even today, I don't believe, which is ironic because we're doing this digitally, but I don't believe in Zooms. I don't believe in meetings like that.
Right.
You have to be there, man. You have to. Dealers appreciate that too. Think about it. Those people are busy. You think they're going to take 20, 30 minutes to sit on a camera? Dude, they don't care. They have so much going on. Right. And so I always wanted to be at the store, and I wanted the dealers to see me physically at their store, walking their lots, touching their cars. I wanted to see that I cared and I was invested in their business. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so because of the international thing, traveling locally was easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Even now, I'm still in retail. I do this. I'm still in retail, but I was a vendor for eLead CRM. So I worked for eLead back in the old days when when it was fresh beginnings, and when Hugh and Judy owned that. And I was on the eDesk team as they rolled that out. So OG eLead, right? OG beginning. And we were road warriors, get on a plane Monday morning at 5 a.m. and get home Friday night, at 6:30, 7 p.m. and sell cars every single minute of the day in between there and teach these guys what we were doing. And so I get it. When you're in those stores to make those appointments, to do those sales meetings, it makes a difference. When I left eLead, I took a little time off and I worked for another company that I'll leave nameless or whatever, because it just wasn't a good fit for me, and I didn't think the product was that great. But I remember going hammering through some deals that I was trying to set up and sell the CRM, and I called the guy that owned the product, and I said, "Hey man, I got a deal in Nashville. Looks like it's going to be a deal. It's got 6, 7, 8 rooftops. This is a pretty good deal for us." I said, let's go down there and take a look at it. I probably need to be down there Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And he said, yeah, let's set up a call Tuesday or Wednesday. And I was like, I don't think that's what I'm talking about. I was like, I think we need to go down there and visit with this fella. And he was like, well, that's awfully expensive. A call would set it up. And I was like, definitely not doing that. Like, we definitely have to be there Tuesday. I did end up selling that product with him. And then I quit the company the next week because it was just a bad fit, Yeah. So if you're still on that product, man, I'm sorry, Mr. Dodge and whatever. I'll just leave it at that in Nashville. But it was, there's better products out there, man. I'm sorry to you that. But it is, and it does make a difference. I was getting to my point as in retail is that I was talking to the owner of the store that I work for now. And I was like, hey, look, I think this is a good product. It was a product that I'm going to bring to him. I said, look, I've been listening. I've been studying. I think this tool will not only solve some problems that we don't even know we have, but it'll create solutions for things that we have. I think it's a good tool. I said, I set up a meeting, just a Zoom meeting for you to look at the demo. And literally as busy as we are, he goes, just do me a favor. Just tell me the next time he's in town and then just get him here and get me here. He's like, there's no way I'm going to watch a demo on Zoom. My attention span's that big. You know it and I know it. I was like, yeah, deal. I got it. So I understand.
Plus, you can't convey to an owner that this is one of the reasons I love this industry so much. Like, and we don't think about it this way, but the dealerships that we do business with, even one, man, those stores make a lot of money. Like these are business people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These are like business dudes, you know, and you're not going to get a person that has that business acumen to sit through a Zoom, dude. This guy's getting people in his office. His phone is dinging every 5 seconds. He's got a problem or 2 or 3 or maybe 10 that he's dealing with from the prior day. He's got employee issues. Like it's not even fair to them to even propose that. You know what I mean?
And to pile on to what you're saying. But
now with COVID,
yeah, well, I was gonna say with the pile on what you're saying.
All these companies are trying to.
For it. No, go for it.
Now with COVID, all these companies are trying to like cut costs and do all this stuff, and it's just we're not connecting with the decision makers the way that we should.
Yeah. To pile on what you're saying is that these guys are business people. Not only are they business people in the car business, so many of these guys have other businesses, right? I mean, they own banks, they're in real estate. I mean, the dealer I worked for owned I worked for Mr. Monday for many years, Bill Monday. He had all the South Points in Austin. He had a giant Chevrolet store in Houston. I worked for him for about 13 years. And I didn't know this for about 8 or 9 years, but that wasn't even his bread and butter. He owned like 8 hospitals, you know, like on top of it. So you're like, you know, you're thinking you're doing all this, you're making all this money. And he's like, yeah, we also have 8 hospitals. You're like, oh, you're doing some other stuff. So, you know, connecting with a guy like that and trying to connect with him and say, hey, look, I've got a product, talk to me on the phone. You know, there's no way that's going to translate. No way.
Exactly. No, yeah, for sure.
So what was your favorite city to travel to? What was did you do any European travel?
I did. I did Europe, but I was mainly in Latin America. So I did, I think, every single major city in Latin America. My favorite place was Santiago, Chile.
Wow.
I really enjoyed that experience, the culture, the vibe, the way that they do business. And still, I was just there a couple of months ago in December, and the organization that country has is insane.
Really?
Like in some aspects more organized than some of the stuff that I see here. Like the airport is a very good example. Like they got that system down. It's super organized, very easy to get stuff done. And I love that city.
What's different about it?
Pretty dope.
What's different about it?
Well, you know what I like? I like the culture. So here's a quick anecdote or story. So back in those days, we used to do these things called the key service or something like that. And that was done through the Department of Commerce, I believe. And so you pay an amount, and they, the United States Embassy connects with the embassies over there, and they hire local people to do this key research on the business that you're trying to develop. And they actually set up appointments in your behalf. So the American embassy of the country sends people on their behalf to those businesses, and they say, hey, we got this person from the United States traveling here. You guys might be a fit, and you guys should do business. You should talk. And so it's got some clout to it as well, because the American embassy is setting
the American
on
embassy,
behalf.
right?
Right. And so
the gold standard of embassies. Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty dope. So then you get there, and they have drivers for you to take you to your meetings, and sometimes even a representative from the local embassy there will travel with you to your meetings. And we were driving, and I'm seeing all this culture, like classical music on the streets. The way it looks, the architecture, wow. And we're just driving, and we're at the stoplight, and 2 cars in front of us was like the Ford Fiesta or something like that, like a little tiny car. And the driver's telling the story, and he's like, you know, that car right there? And then there was a lady driving it. He's like, that's the president of the country. And I was like, what? No care, no police, nothing, dude.
Really?
Like, she's just going to work. She was just going to work.
Just
and I was like, dude,
I Ford Festiva.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that story just stuck with me. And they have a lot of jazz, and I like jazz. And
that's
so
cool.
To see that in Latin America was dope.
Very interesting. I know a lot of people that travel. I've traveled, and I've never heard a Santiago, Chile story that made me excited to make me want to go look it up now. So You might have just booked my next vacation, bro. So thank you very much.
It's great. It's great. They have a lot of good stuff to do there too. So, and the people, I really enjoy the people, and it's I get to use my Spanish too.
Yeah, but yeah, that's you can use your Spanish in Europe, right? In Spain.
Yeah.
What was Europe like? Did you have any experiences in Europe? So I happen to know that as I do a little digging, that you might have a European story that our listeners might be interested in hearing.
Oh man.
Yeah, I teed that up. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah. So where were we? We were in Eastern Europe. I think it was Poland, but it might not be, so don't quote me on that. So we were driving to these different countries, and then we were going to go to this show in Germany called Automechanica, which at the time, I don't know if it is now, but at the time, it was the biggest automotive show in the world. It's like 9 SEMAs.
Wow.
To put things into perspective. It's huge. And so we're making all these different stops. We're in Poland. We're on a rental, and I remember we had those TomToms. Remember those GPSs before they were on your phone and stuff?
Yeah, they're great.
And so, by the way, it was pretty dope, dude. We never got lost or anything. It was pretty awesome to have that on the trip.
If I gave you a TomTom right now, you'd be like, "Why are you giving me this?" But if I gave you one 15 years ago, you're like, "What is this?" Yeah.
Right. So we're driving, and we get a flat tire. We get a flat tire, pull on the side of the road, and we're like, dude, what are we going to do? I think the place that we were at didn't have cell phone reception also. So we can't connect to our phones. And this old dude, man, just kind of walks up to us, and he starts talking, and he's talking in Polish, and we don't know the language, and he doesn't speak English, and we're like gesturing each other, and the old dude is like, making these mannerisms or whatever. And we just kind of let him do his thing. And he pulls the stuff out of the car. And all of a sudden we realize that the guy's trying to help us change the tire. So, we crank the car up, and this dude is like, you could tell this guy's like in his 70s at least. And he's like all energetic and moving
on it. Yeah.
So yeah, he's on
Johnny
it. So
on the spot with the tire change. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He changes the tire for us, everything. Then, we're picking up the stuff, and the guy walks up to the front of the car, gets in the car, and takes off with the car, dude. And we're like, what the heck just happened?
That's amazing. So he left you.
So there we are in Poland.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So you're just stuck there, no cell phone, no car, like
no cell phone. We don't know the language, and we just got robbed by like an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, you got strong arm robbed by the weakest arm robber. Like that's amazing. What? That's hilarious. I had a buddy of mine. I'll tell you this story. It's not my story, so I probably shouldn't tell it, but it's a really good story. So my buddy worked in oil and gas, and he would travel internationally, and I don't know where he is. Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia. I mean, he's in a place, it's nothing but desert, nothing but road. And then there's like this fuel station essentially for, not a convenience store like we know. It's like you only buy fuel here. There's like a toll booth for fuel. And, he said he's getting his fuel, and he's in some kind of Toyota pickup truck. And this guy comes and taps him on the shoulder, and he says, he turns around and he says, "Hello." And my buddy's name is Steve, and he goes, "Hi." And he says, "Oh, are you an American?" And he goes, "I am." And he goes, "Oh, good. Please help me. My car is on fire." And he points to the back, and this guy's got some car, and it's engulfed in flames. And they're like sitting on like 7 billion gallons of gasoline, and he goes, "I jumped in that Toyota truck and I drove away as fast as I possibly could." And I was like, "Steve, it's not very nice of you." And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm alive. I don't know if those people are or not." But it's one of those kind of things. It's like a foreign country foul play, it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh man.
So
that's rough.
So tell me about your company, man, because I think it's quite interesting. I think your podcast is cool, but I think what you're doing is very interesting. Tell my listeners and these car dealers out there what you do and how you can benefit them, and not in a commercial way, but I really want to hear about it and hear how you formed this idea and put this into fruition.
Yeah. So because I was a rep, I understand some of the deficiencies in that sector. Like, for example, like a GM is not supposed to be a data analyst and a marketing expert and all these different things, right? He's a GM. His thing is people, right, and putting people in the right seat of the bus and stuff. But the business itself is in a place right now where it's growing exponentially. There's all these kinds of different technologies that are coming our way, and we have to be ready to understand it all, right? And so the best way for me to describe it is what we do is we're a filter, right? So we take the stuff that matters for the dealership success, and we put it into these very simple KPIs that right now it's all Excel spreadsheet based, but we can do these things with those reports that really tell you where your business is at, right? So oftentimes the first thing that a decision maker at a dealership says is, oh, my marketing is off. And in reality, marketing is only going to help you a little bit. Like, we do these things, we have this FOMO when it comes to marketing, but you don't have to do as much or spend as much as you are or you think on marketing initiatives, because they don't do that as much as you think that they do. First of all, you should only be concentrated in your backyard, 10-mile to 30-mile radius. There's enough people there to maintain your business. Now, you have a DMS that's full of...
Are you saying this for sales and for service, or are you saying this for... when we talk about this 10 to 30 mile range, can you define that a little deeper?
Yeah. So the overall performance of your dealership. Okay. Maybe service, you can go a little bit out, maybe a 50-mile radius, or maybe 50-mile radius for single point stores, things of that nature, depends geographically. But that's it. That's what you need to focus on the most.
That's your neighborhood.
Right? Yeah. Because you have the majority of businesses now, or the majority of dealerships are worried that, because we don't have internet, we're borderless and shipping cars and Carvana and all this other stuff. And the reality is that if you take care of your PMA really, really well, you're going to be set for life. Number one, you're going to have those customers that are coming in and out of your PMA every year, every day, every second, right? And then you're going to have a database full of customers that say yes to you by purchasing and continue to say yes to you by servicing your vehicle. And if you do that really, really well, you don't need to spend a lot of money on marketing. You don't need the extra promotions. You don't need the extra pushes. You don't need the extra expense. And so, but the thing is, when we look at these KPIs that we're talking about, we're looking at things that don't matter, like going into Google Analytics and going into your platform, your 17 different platforms you have to go to make sure you got the lead or whatever. And that's not the way to do it. You first need to understand where the issue is. And you do that by measuring things like, what's my website traffic in relationship to how many cars I sell? It's such a simple mathematical equation, but nobody knows that.
Right.
Dealers don't know that. Like, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a $10,000 budget, right, and you drive about 2,500 website visits to your month, every single month, every single week, 2,500 visits every single week with that $10,000, and nothing else changes. There's no pandemic. You don't lose salespeople. Your inventory mix doesn't change. You're going to sell the same amount of cars, plus or minus, 10%.
Okay.
Nothing else changed. You're going to sell the same amount of cars. So if you understand that relationship or that number or that percentage, however you want to look at that, then you know that. And if you want to pull that lever of, hey, I want to sell more cars, great, then increase the traffic at that point. But until you understand what that relationship is, there's no need to do anything. You got to understand first what that's doing.
So obviously we're talking about, there's a ton of waste being spent by these dealers, or I like to call it fried ice cream. Are you familiar with that term? So
no,
I'll give you one.
But it sounds fun.
Yeah, fried ice cream is fun. It's expensive too. It's fried ice cream's the smoke of the vendors that don't need to be in existence, right? So it's man, I've got the latest, greatest, coolest tool for you. It's amazing. Gonna sell you 15% more cars. Does everything but wash your car, sir, and it's only the cost of one car deal, right? It's the smoke. It's not real. It's fried ice cream. And maybe that's an old Houston thing. I don't know. We've been using that forever. But how much fried ice cream is in our budget, right? So immediately you're talking about cutting out the waste. What do you think on average as you go through these dealerships, just your typical Ford, Toyota? I mean, you can average it out, you can get specific, but how much waste is being spent?
So I would say a healthy marketing mix just for sales. Service is a different conversation, but just for sales, it should comprise of one third-party classified site. Okay. You pick whichever you like the most. You don't need to be on all of them. You need to have more focus on SEO than anything else. Why? Because SEO is the long-term success strategy of your dealership. If you dominate on SEO, you have to spend less on everything else. Because what Google says, right? 30%, I think is the statistic, of people do not click on ads. Google tells you that. They don't click on the ads. And yet we want to spend all this money for 30% of the activity. Right. And yet where people spend most of the time, we spend no money. I don't understand that. So have a very, very good SEO strategy. And I'm not talking about, I'm doing a blog post and I'm posting 3 times a year. No, like you have to have a consistent, like do-it-yourself articles is a really good way to increase your SEO. Yeah. How to take photos of your car, how to sell a used car, which third parties are the best one to list my cars. Tell people, inform people, educate people, do local things about your area. Yep. You know, things that people can do on the weekends. What's, you know, places that people can go drive, you know, on, like we have a piece in one of the groups that I work with that we call it the Sunday Drive. And we put maps and I have people go out to the location and do these videos and we post it with YouTube and everything and content. And we put that stuff every single week. It goes onto that website. Mm-hmm. So stuff like that. And it sucks that it's like this, but pay your website provider the extra $1,500, to $2,000 they're going to charge you a month for technical SEO, which by the way, it's highway robbery. Like why, if I'm already paying you $2,000 for a website, why do I have to pay for you to optimize it as well? I don't get that. But
it's like buying a pair of Jordans. That's the world we live in. Yeah. It's like buying a pair of Jordans to buy the extra bounce. Yeah. It's like, didn't I buy these?
So you should be heavily invested on SEO more than anything else, and then have a good strategy for Facebook and a good strategy for Google. And that's it digitally. I'm talking about digitally. Right. And understand the difference, what you're going to get digitally and what you're going to get with other forms of marketing. Digital is all about driving people to your digital dealership and capturing that consumer outside of the land of competitors. You don't want that person. That's why you don't want to be on all these different third-party sites, and you don't want your inventory everywhere because you're there and your inventory is there, as your competitor's inventory is there as well. The other thing too is when your inventory is all over the place, you don't control the narrative. And we are in an industry of distrust. Customers do not trust dealerships. I want to eradicate that, and it's one of the goals of the podcast, and to get this information in social media. And I love what you're doing, and Jason Harris and all these other dudes that are out there, promoting the good side of the business. But until that day comes, people don't trust us, so we have to be on the defensive, and that means controlling the narrative as much as possible. Yeah, I agree. If your car on Auto Trader shows a price and they go and they see it on cars.com and it has a different price, and they go to your website and it has a different price, that is not a good experience for the customer. They don't trust you. You know what I mean? And so you have to be really careful with how that information is out there.
And so much of that's accidental. Yeah. I mean, a lot. Yeah. People experience that, and it's accidental because that's all been, you've got to manually manage that or have somebody full-time managing that. We're a small dealership with 80, 90 used cars, right? And it's a full-time job for us to manage all the prices on all the websites. And so we have a little bit different strategy. We do ship a lot of cars, and we do a lot of that, but a lot of that is because of our niche market, right? So I do a few exotics, and then we do a bunch of big trucks that are sexy and they're hard to find in other places. There are a bunch in Dallas, but there's not a ton in Arizona. There's not a ton in Washington. And so it works for us in that specific range. But on the franchise side, I get exactly what you're talking about. 100%.
Yeah, but and those cars are going to take care of themselves as well too. So you don't really need to do a lot of an Auto Trader presence or a Cars.com presence or any of those is going to get the exposure that you want on that car, and those cars are going to move.
Yep.
So you don't need to do a lot. You know, where you need to spend the majority of your monies is going to be on social and SEM, right? So social is still to this day. I don't know. I think that's going to change here soon, but it's still the cheapest way to drive traffic to your website. The problem with social is that it's an interruption. People don't go on Facebook or Instagram and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a car. They go there to get education or entertainment.
Right.
And you're interrupting that experience. So you can't just put your cars on there. And you have to pull that customer out into an experience where you give them alternative options and try to capture a lead. And then you have to answer the lead immediately, not an hour from now,
right,
but as soon as the lead comes in, because then I'm gone. I'm doing something else. I totally forgot I saw that car. I'm onto another story or another flip of the phone or whatever, and I'm gone. So, social is cheap to get the customer, but it's not the customer. You're not capturing their intent. You're interrupting them.
So
then Google, and now I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You made a great point about, and it brings up a question about branding, right? So you're exactly right. They're there to get educated. They're there to get entertained. That's why we go. That's why we pull out TikTok. That's why we get on YouTube, right? I'm either trying to learn something or pass some time by having some fun. So who's doing well? Give me an example, if you can, of a dealer that's doing, I don't know, really well with social in a way that does both. You know, like from the entertainment standpoint, that's long-term branding, right? I mean, and that's got to go with the flow and the vibe of who that store is. Kind of like when I was talking about the Uncle Savings videos earlier, that's a branding thing that we do with our stores. And it's super goofy and it's so over the top that there's no possible way that somebody's going, oh, this guy's serious. It's clearly a clown show, right? It's a circus. It's a joke. Mm-hmm. And so people look at that and we get a lot of play off it. They're like, oh, your Uncle Savings, that's funny. You know, I mean, and so there's some branding to that because I've got humor, but how can these dealers work on social and either entertain or educate more, just from your standpoint?
Yeah, so that's a different type. So this is not AIA specific. This is how can I use my social media platforms to ultimately sell more. And that's all about, like, the perfect example I can give you was Glenn Lundy and what he did. And I can't remember what the Chevy store or whatever, but he had all his crew on social media and they were all posting every day. And it was not about come buy my car. Right. Oh, I got the special. It was people talking about how they help people. There was people talking about the community, and everybody at the dealership was doing it, because that's the other thing that we forget, that these platforms have algorithms. If you post, if we all work together and you post and I take your post and reshare it, and then you take my post and reshare it, and everybody's posting and resharing each other's stuff, it triggers the algorithm. Right. So if you get your entire staff to do that, you're going to ultimately be in a better position. You're going to have more exposure than you know what to do with. Right. But we don't do that stuff. And we're afraid to be in front of the camera. We're afraid to post. And we're like, this is the new TV. Social media is the new TV. The NBC and all that stuff is going away. And this is the new thing. It's free. That doesn't cost anything to use. Anybody can go and post. And now we are our own editors. We are our own editors of the content that we put out there. So imagine the opportunity that this is for you and I to do this 20 years ago. This would have cost $100,000,
100%,
somewhere in that neighborhood. Easy.
And now it's only 89,000.
We pay us. Now it's 89,000. I
don't know what kind of equipment you got, but
so but now you can do this. With a laptop and an internet connection, you can go on there and get this stuff done. So, if we don't want to recognize the power of the camera, then we're in old times, and that's eventually going to catch up to us.
The thing I want to encourage people that are listening, and whether you're old timers or dealers or principals or salespeople or sales managers or whatever you are inside these stores, the thing that people really need to remember is exactly what you just said. This is free, right? It's absolutely free. I mean, I don't know exactly how much setup you have there, but I'm looking at about $1,000 for a neon sign. I'm looking at a Shure MB750. That's an expensive microphone. But other than that, it's pretty free, right? And what's valuable about your podcast is the content not the studio. It's not the look. It's not the this. It doesn't have to be television. Doesn't have to be perfection. It doesn't need a photographer. It doesn't need any of that. It needs you and your content and your message. And if you can hone that in as a dealer, as a salesperson, whatever it is, figure out who you are and run with that, you're going to connect with people. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so those would be the 4 pillars for me, man. SEO, SEM, social, and some sort of display or something like that. If you look at your GA today, they're going to be at least in the top 5 in some order, right? Yep. And so if you do those things really, really well, now you're driving people to your sandbox. Now you have to think about, hey, I spent money to get the people to my sandbox. What's the experience in the sandbox? Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer of the one-click deal, especially 100%. Now with digital retailing tools. Why do you need 4 or 5 different widgets on your website? You just need one, right?
Yep.
Just one.
Yep.
And that's it. And you're done. And then let the customer go, oh, I don't get the leads. Well, guess what? You're going to miss 70% of them because only 29 people submit leads. And you're focusing all your effort on the 29% and you're forgetting about the 70% of website traffics that will never submit their information to you.
Yep.
So why are you focused on that? So get the people to your website, offer a different experience, which, by the way, it's super easy to do because you go to one website, you've gone to them all. It's like, I've said this multiple times on my show and other shows, but it's the equivalent, and I don't know what the name is, but it's the equivalent of those dudes that used to stand in New York with the trench coat. And it's like, hey, dude, I got the phone, I got the watch here, I got the cologne over here, dude. What you want? You know what I mean? Like,
you want to buy
it's crazy. Yeah. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just looking for a car, dude.
Yeah.
Let me just navigate this thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we overcomplicate it. We just make it so difficult, and it's not that difficult.
No, I agree 1,000%. So do me a favor, from a dealer who doesn't know you, who's somebody that's interested in this, and they're hearing this and they're saying, hey, okay, how do I improve my sandbox? What's something that a dealer can do just without spending, $1 billion and without changing everything that they know? How can they improve that experience for their customers? So as a filter, you're obviously a reductionist, right? Because we want to reduce the amount of fluff that's in the air, right? What we're spending on, what we're looking at, the problems with our customers. What are the things that you say, hey, let's pull this out. Let's do this. You don't have to name names on products.
Let me get you 3 hacks, one for the homepage, one for the SRP experience, and then one for the BDP. The SRP, bring the tabs down to 3 or 4. What are people going to do? You don't need 50 million, and you don't need to click down and open another menu of confusing stuff that nobody's reading and nobody's paying attention to. You just need 4 things. Are you there to shop? Are you there for service? Are you there to learn something? Or do you want to just get to my dealership? That's it. Yep. That's all you should care about. Shop should be a shop, new or used, all inventory if they click the shop, or if you have to for whatever regulations you have with your OEM, just put all inventory at the top and then use. Right now I'd put use over new because the shortage, but typically I'd put new and then use.
Right.
And then you're done. Service, you don't need 50 million different tabs. It's very simple. Service, schedule, put your service special. Don't stop doing the 3 coupon thing that you forget to update every month and it's expired. Put all your menu on there. Service menu stuff. All the services that you offer with a price. And if you want to discount one or a couple of them, put the discount right there legible so the person knows, and then schedule your service. That's it. You don't need anything else. If you want to go that extra mile, put a recall thing up there that people can submit information to see if you have the parts or whatever, or put those recall VIN stuff so people can put their VIN number and see if their car has a recall, and you're done. Amazon, About Us or the section, an education section, it's all about do it yourself. How to change the oil yourself, how to change the wiper blades, how to set your CarPlay, tech, do it yourself on the service side, and then help the customer get rid of their car, even if it's not with you. Hey, here, as a dealer, this is what I would recommend for you to take the best photos. This is how I would recommend you to market your car. This is how I would recommend you to do this, that. Value. And then make it super easy for the customer to get to you with some sort of, hey, visit us today, map. I would highly suggest that if your website doesn't do this, or if you have control over your website, like a lot of dealers are doing today, do an API connection with Map, because it helps with SEO and all this stuff with Google, and now you can like connect through their API, which is super cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that's it, man. Like we complicate it. Like we need to have all these different things on there. You don't.
Yeah.
I promise you, you're not missing out.
Right.
We have FOMO in this industry. We just fear that we're missing out.
How much of the vendor, how much of the extra fluff and stuff do you think is driven by great salespeople that are vendors?
I don't know, man. I don't know when and where we got to this place where we think that if we don't have those experiences that we're going to lose customers. Dude, we are focused on the 30%. Who gives a shit? I'll give it to you for free. You can have that.
Right.
I challenge everybody that listens to this to think about the 70%. And if you do that, you can forget about the 30%. Sorry, I got my dog here.
That's okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. It's not we're overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
And then on the SRP, what I recommend you do is put an interrupter every 4, 5, 6 cars, whatever you figure out the math. But interrupt the customer's experience with something about your why buy. Why buy from you? Don't tell me about anything else. Just tell me what's different about you. Figure out 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things about you, and not that we have amenities. Everybody's got that shit. Not that I've got the most inventory. Everybody's got that. Please don't say family owned and operated. Nobody gives a fuck. Pardon my French. They just do not care. Be creative. What is it about you that's going to make me get out of the couch right now and go buy a car?
So
you know
give me
what I
an
mean?
example.
Like, just help me.
Give me an example. So give me an example. So if it's not family owned, because we don't care about that, like what is intriguing out there?
In some cases, maybe you have a tax incentive,
Okay.
right? Maybe your paperwork is cheaper than the other, the next county or something, or the next closest place of competition. Maybe at your dealership, you guys now, because of the pandemic or whatever, you do test drives at home. So tell me that.
Car washes,
maybe now,
whatever the case may be, right? Yeah.
Right. Maybe you don't have market adjustments. So tell me that. Hey, no market adjustments ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Like figure out what's really different about your business. Come on, you don't have 2 or 3 things that are completely unique and different. And if not, find them, because it's going to help you, right? It's going to make you stand out from the crowd. And interrupt that experience. The brain is designed to work every 10 minutes. We need a break, right? So give me a break in that experience, and then I'll start to pay attention to it. So you know what I'm saying?
These interrupters, they videos, like what is it like? If we expand on that, right? Because there's everybody's going to video talk, right? I'm on a couple of calls. I'm on the Modern Day Car Sales podcast, or not podcast, but call every morning, and I'm on there with some absolute savage human beings that are true Jedis of our business. But they didn't become Jedis overnight, right? They had to go through, they had to learn the Force, Luke, and they got zapped with lasers. They were shot at by stormtroopers. They had to find out that their girlfriend was their sister. All these different things had to be solved to become Jedis. And what we talk about, especially in service and sales and all these things, everybody's like, video. I want to do video, right? Like get the video to them, get the text. Yeah, we get that. But where does the video hit, right? Like, what is it that we need to be pushing? And I think you nailed it a little bit with what are your unique competitive advantages as a dealership, and how do you communicate that to others? And is it really a unique competitive advantage, right?
Right. Yeah. But to answer your question, I would prefer video interrupters for sure. And you can do that super easy now with YouTube and stuff. It's just the website of availability for dealers. And I feel sorry for dealers, is very subpar in our industry. They just suck. I'm sorry to say. If you have to pay a website company $2,000 to optimize my site, that's a problem.
Yeah. If
you can't run ads, right? If you can't run Facebook ads and Google ads out of your website today in 2023, what?
Right.
You should be able to go to a portal in the back of your website and run ads, VIN specific, directly to the car that's on your website.
Agreed.
No questions. It should be the easiest thing. Every single website in the car business should have that.
Agreed.
But we don't. Why? Because it just so happens to be that the people that sell websites, what else do they sell? SEO and Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
And if you put that on the website, guess what you can't do? You can't charge a management fee. So they'll never do it. But you should have the ability. You should have that technology. And so you putting videos every 6th car should be super easy to do. And it's an interruption to the customer's experience, which is what the psychology and the mind is designed to do. We're designed to every 10 minutes tune out, right? So put that, if I'm going to tune out anyway, give me something to stay tuned out on your SRP and not go somewhere else.
No,
you know
I
what
agree.
mean?
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I think it's sometimes the way these guys sell these. You nailed something with the website providers and what they're doing and what they're selling. It's like the dude, where's my car lady? She's like, you're like, I'll take the fried rice, and then like I'll take soy sauce, and then it's like, it's just constant build and build and build. It's a money milking machine, because I feel like a lot of vendors that are selling fried ice cream. Listen, there are a lot of really good vendors out there, and we want to talk to them, right? Because there are people making differences with stuff. But if you're selling fried ice cream and you're selling smoke and you've just got the best salesperson on the block, it's a sham. And it's a shame for these dealerships because they get burned, and the salespeople suffer, the finance guys suffer, the finance directors suffer, the porters suffer, everybody suffers, because you're not selling as much cars, but you're spending more money because you got pulled into a smoke show by a guy that can really sell stuff, right? He knows that lingo, knows that talk. I think what you're doing is important. Go.
On the BDP, to kind of bring that full circle, this is an easiest one. Nobody's reading your comments. Nobody. I'm telling you right now, nobody. You can actually cuss out a customer on the comments and they'll never complain because nobody's reading them, right? I've literally, for some stores, I've done the test and I put stuff in there to see if anybody said anything like, hey, if you buy this car or something, we'll give you $3,000 down or whatever. Yeah. And it's never come up, dude. Nobody's reading that stuff.
Yeah.
But you have to find a way to tell the story, because your car has certain things that makes it more expensive that people are going to miss on the SRP.
Right.
So how do you do that? Put it in the photos. Put it in the photos.
Right.
Scroll 3 photos, then a bullet point or 3 or 2 of, hey, this car has this package. We spent $1,500 on brakes on this car. It's got a brand new battery. 3 more photos, another bullet point. Tell me the story again. Because they are looking at that stuff.
They are looking at the photos.
So take an opportunity. Take an opportunity in the photos to put the stuff that makes that car different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
even put it in a video. You can even have a tech put it in the video. Hey, I'm John. I'm your local tech. I do all the PDR, for the dealership here.
I love that.
In this particular video, in this particular car, I put in a new battery. I put in a thermostat. Matter of fact, I cut my knuckle doing it right here. Add some personality, add some charm to that kind of stuff, and then give that guy a TikTok so he can start doing that stuff every day. I mean, that's
so imagine just doing that on those 3 things, and then you go to 10 websites and I end up on your website. Is my experience going to be different? Just by doing those 3 things, it's going to be a different experience. And I'm going to be like, wow, man, this is different.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to do. Right. I don't know how long it's going to last and how long we're going to have this opportunity in the industry to kind of one up, the competition. But dude, right now, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. We're overcomplicating it. We're overcomplicating it.
No, I agree 1,000%. Sure. I agree 1,000%.
So
what kind of, listen, as you're coming into these stores, what kind of reduction, that's how I'm looking at it from a reductionist standpoint, right? So reduction maximization, right? Like, it's not just about reducing these things that aren't valuable inside the store, but it's also about maximizing the things that we have or don't have that will be valuable, right? I mean, what is it?
Yeah. So let's
go for it. Yeah. Break it down.
Let's break that down for a second. So there's 2 things that I run. It's kind of like what's the word? It's kind of in flux, right? So most of the people, they want traffic. I want traffic, right? Okay.
Yeah. Well, do you? Do you really? Are you sure? Yeah. What are you going to do when you get
find
it?
That, right?
What are you going to do with it when you get it? Yeah, right.
So here's what I always say. Like, you got to look at, there's 2 different things. Digital marketing, right? If you do digital marketing well, you're going to see uptick in traffic to your website, to your digital dealership. And that's going to trickle into, more opportunities and more sales. But it's not going to drive people in droves to your building unless your cars are super cheap. Like if you look at one of these dealerships that do salvage title stuff, dude, they have a shit ton of traffic, 1,000 leads a month, 3,000 phone calls. Because why? Because I see the Porsche that's, $20,000 less and I can't believe it. So that's going to drive a shit ton of activity.
Dude,
that's the only time where that works.
I'm going to give you an example. I got a friend of mine who has 2 PhDs. He's a brilliant human being. He's in a totally different space than us, right? He sold cars all through college, like not for a dealership, but for himself. He had, acquired enough little money to buy a car, flip it, buy a car, flip it. That's how he put himself through 2 PhD programs, right? Brilliant human being. Sends me a lead the other day because unfortunately my dear friend was in an awful car accident, and he's fine. So everybody's praying for him out there. I appreciate it, but he's fine. He was driving a Macan. It got smashed. He's like, look, Steve, I want to upgrade to a 2021, 2022, maybe, year, 2-year-old Macan. Let's go to a GTS. Let's do something fun. And dude, he sends me, I'm like, yeah, man, let me get on OVE. Let me get on some places. Let me see what I can do. See what I can find for you. The same day, sends me a text. He's like, tell me about this car. These people have a great story. This is a great opportunity. He runs down, tells me exactly what the salesperson, exactly what the internet told him about this car. I pull the car up, red flag. It's a flood damaged car out of Florida, branded title. I'm like, pump the brakes because dude, I love you, but this is not good for you, right? Like you've been in the car, that you don't want to buy a $70,000 branded title, right? I mean, this.
Oh my gosh, so you're never going to sell that car.
You're never going to do anything
forever.
With it. But the trick is there. So it's adding on to your point. It's exactly what it is. But now look how that works. And they're hooked and they're pulled. And there's a story being told. And now you get a really good salesman on the phone. All of a sudden you're driving yourself down to Houston to buy a flood damaged, Macan. I mean, so yeah,
right,
I mean,
right.
rough,
So
but you're dead right. You're dead right.
Yeah. If that's what you're trying to do with price, you can do it and it'll work. I promise you, test it out and it'll work.
Right.
But that's not the reality, right? We want to make some money. We're holding gross, especially now. So that's not going to work, right? Oh, well, Herb, what about the car that's the dime a dozen? How many times are you going to sell that car, dude? One time. So you get 10 or 20 people on that car and then it sells.
It's over.
Guess what? Now you're back to your bronze cars that are going to sit there and it's going to take some time and all that jazz.
Yep.
So that's the reality of digital. All you can see is the influx in digital activity. More people to the website. If everything stays constant, you should sell right around the same amount of cars. And as you grow, you should grow a little bit more. But remember, the more you grow, the more you're going to create bottlenecks in all the other areas. So you're not going to sell at the same rate, but you will sell more cars at the risk of aging out too. So you can potentially incur some aging issues.
Okay.
Now, if you really want to drive people to the store and it's people, bodies that you want in the store, digital marketing is not the answer. You have to do that with more traditional forms of advertisement, and you have to have a gimmick. You have to have a hook. You have to give me a reason to get out of the couch, create some excitement that's going to get me to go see what is going on over there. That's how you get people in the store. You don't do that by spending $5,000 more on Auto Trader and $20,000 more on Google. Now you're at a point of diminishing return because the pie is the pie, dude. You're not going to force more deals into the market. You're just going to take it away from your competitors.
Right.
So you got to understand the difference between the two. Like we're in this place now where everything's digital and we forgot about traditional, but traditional has its place. It just depends on what you're trying to do. Oh, and by the way, for those who say, well, you can't track it, bullshit. You can. There's specificity to the data now that allows you to do that. You can be very specific on a direct mail campaign, which you weren't able to do 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
You can send a $2,000 mail piece. It's going to be a lot more effective than probably your presence on Auto Trader for that specific month, provided you have the right hook and the right message and it's done properly, right? And it's omni-channel, not just a direct mail piece, but direct mail, social, and it's on your website and the same message, same customer repeated multiple times. Customers are everywhere and you need to be everywhere too. What about my commercials on TV? Is that worth it? Yes, it's worth it if you do it forever. Right. You got to do TV forever.
100%.
You don't just do that for the weekend or for the month. You do it forever. You commit to that forever and you change your creative and you change your message every single month, but you do it consistently forever.
Agreed.
Well, how do I track that to digital? Easy. You get the schedule that your broadcast partner is going to send you, and then you track, just like you do on the Super Bowl, right? Yep. How people go to the website after they see the commercial. You measure that for the past 2 hours from when the commercial hits. And you can superimpose that on things like Looker, and you can show that, hey, 2 hours after the commercial comes, we get an influx of website traffic of 10, 15, 20%. It depends when that commercial hits.
Right.
You can do that. You can do the same thing for radio. Like, we forgot about traditional, and that's a mistake. If you're trying to drive human beings to your dealership right now, you have to get them excited about some sort of message. And please don't put a message out there that just says, I have a lot of inventory. Nobody cares. Give me a reason.
Hey, don't forget, Herb, we're family owned.
Yeah, and we're family owned. So,
family owned and operated, plenty of inventory. You got to come down today. Buy it today, get it today. Don't forget that you can come today. Right. Yeah.
Like right now, and I'm not kidding. Like right now, you could do something like, hey, were you screwed during COVID by your competitor dealership? Did you think that you were getting, and now you're $10,000 upside down? Well, over here at ABC Motors, we are helping customers just like you. Come visit us today and talk to one of our professionals to see how we can help you, and blah, 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 blah. Right. Another one could be something like a profit sharing program. Why don't you give some of the money, the profit sharing, the profits that you're making back to your customers? Hey, over here at ABC Motors, we share our profits with you. If we sell your car within 30 days of getting it, we're going to not just pay you what your vehicle is worth right now, but we're going to give you some of that profit, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting
Give people
concept.
A reason.
You know what I
mean?
No, I do know what you mean. I think that some of this, I want to tag on something, because I've been talking to people a lot about branding, right? Like, what does your dealership stand for? What's your unique competitive advantages? Where do you really stand in the community? Why should people buy from you? And people are always like, well, how do I get people to the store? How do we drive traffic? How do we get bodies? Well, there's about 1 million ways you could drive traffic to your dealership, right? And a lot of those things come tied back to what you were saying earlier about, we were talking about, oh man, let me get to my thought, and it'll pull back in. What I'm saying is, there's tons of churches, there's tons of community groups, there's tons of nonprofits, there's tons of organizations that need spaces to meet. Right? Like, here's a simple little idea, right? Like, you have a conference room. Why not make that available on Sundays or any day of the week to these different nonprofits where people can come in and can come brand from those ideas? It's like, well, where do you meet at? We meet at Freeman Toyota. Why do you meet there? Well, Mr. Freeman provides us with his conference room at no charge. As a matter of fact, he has the lady that works in service, Glinda. She's the most kind person I've ever met. She brings us coffee, donuts from the break room, blah, 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 blah. The coffee sucks, but it's free. And Glinda's great. And now all of a sudden you've got this influx of people coming in. And instead of making our dealerships a place of oh, hell, I got to go to the dealership and buy a car, man. I got to go deal with some guy out here trying to hustle me for a Toyota, into, hey, today's the day I'm going to celebrate Mr. Freeman for allowing me to use his conference room for the past 2 years for free. Today I'm buying a Toyota at Freeman, right? Today I'm going to pay Glinda back for all that trouble that she gave us. Today I'm bringing a customer that's going to buy something from us. I mean, and there's a million of these opportunities, right? I mean, whether you're a church organization, non-church organization, it doesn't really matter. Your dealership's opening. I mean, it's completely empty on Sunday. Completely empty, right? How about have the Boy Scouts of America?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, have the Boy Scouts of America come over once a week. There's about 25,000 troops or whatever come over and spend a day with a tech. You got 70 techs there. I guarantee you got 4 of them or 5 of them that would be happy to rotate through once a Sunday for a little extra bonus or for nothing, to just teach these guys what wrenches are. This is a ratchet. This is a thing. This is how we change oil. Da 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 da. And it's such a simple thing to start rebranding and rethinking about what these dealerships are to the community instead of what they actually are in the community. And you can change the way people perceive you as a store immediately. I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a great idea, because I talk about this concept on my show, but like, dude, we got to make it so that people want to get into the business. Like, every story always starts with like, I got in here by accident, and then I saw my paycheck and oh my God. Like everybody has the same story. It's like, dude, like we want people to be like, actually, I want to be in the car business. You know what I mean?
I think I might be the only guy that got into this deal on purpose. I was a failed construction worker, and the thing that made me fail the construction business was the 104-degree temperature beating down on my body every day. And I was like, this is not for me. You know, I think out of 10 years of insults that people are like, Steve, anybody ever told you remind me of a used car salesman? And this is at 12 and 13 years old. And so around 20, I was like, well, maybe I am a used car salesman. Let's go find out. Worked out fine for me.
Hopefully one day they'll ask, are car salesmen born or made?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So,
right. Yeah, hell, I don't know.
Yeah, man. But look, when it comes to marketing and stuff, man, we put so much emphasis on the spend. Like I get this conversation from so many decision makers, like, how much more money can I spend this month? I need to make 20% more sales.
Today. I need it today. I need to change my business today. Yeah. I mean,
spend zero on marketing, spend more on people and processes, because you can run a successful dealership with people and processes and zero marketing dollars, but you cannot run a successful dealership with 100% marketing spend and zero people and process.
Right.
You won't last a month.
That goes back to what we were saying, right? Like, okay, you want more traffic. I want traffic. Great. Okay. What are you going to do with it when you get it? Are you sure you want traffic? Right? Are you sure you want traffic? What are you going to do with those leads when they come in? How fast are you answering them? What are you really doing with them? What are your processes in place to take that lead into an appointment, to a call, to an appointment, to a conversion, to an appointment, to a sale, to a delivery, to a follow-up, right? And most folks don't really have an answer for it. And that's why I think it's important that we're doing what we're doing, whether it's my podcast, your podcast, whoever it is, because people need to remember this and see these things that are so simple, and then find the people that care about them, even though it's not our business, right? We care about these dealers. I care about this business because I care about the people in it. You know, I know what it's done for my life, and I know that there are 800 kids out there. When I say kids, I mean green peas, whether you're 18 or 80, it doesn't matter. You're trying to make your way through this business, and it's a difficult, daunting task. But there are people out here that care about you and care about your career and want you to have that success. And I think we feel the same way about dealers that we do as those folks. You know, we want them to have success.
For sure. No, it's about giving back to an industry 100%. that's made it possible for me in particular to do a lot of things that I never thought that I would be able to do. And so, yeah, I resonate with your message there for sure.
Amen. Sure. Amen.
One other thing I wanted to talk to really quick before I don't know how long we go here, and I don't really care, but I'm open to whatever, man.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm down for whatever, man. Worst thing that's going to happen out of this is you and I end up liking each other. Like that's.
So one thing I want to talk about, because dude, I don't know how to say this, but it blows my mind how much of an impact it does to activity, whether it be digital or in person, and nobody pays attention to that. And that has to do with cars that you have available to sell and the drippage, what I call the drippage rate of that. And what do I mean by that? So a lot of times, dude, I'll talk to decision makers and they'll be like, oh, dude, it's slow. I don't know what's going on. And then I look at my report and I go back, okay, like, what do you want me to compare it to? Well, last month. Okay, great. So last month you had, let's just, for the sake of this conversation, keep the math simple. You had 100 cars when you started the month.
Yep.
Right. This month you started the car with 70. You started this month with 70 cars. So you have 30 less units. Oh yeah, but my website has X amount of cars. Yeah, but it doesn't matter how much are on your website. You have 70 cars to sell. And those extra cars that are on your website are not going to generate activity. Why? Because they're not merchandised.
Matter of fact.
And unless you have a low reduced price, you're not going to do anything.
As a matter of fact, those extra cars are costing you money, because if you're paying for clicks, if you're paying for ads, people are clicking on cars that don't exist. And if they don't exist, especially in the used car market, I've talked to so many dealers about this. If you're paying for clicks, if you're doing any kind of dealer alchemist type ideas and things like this, if you're paying for these clicks, those are unique items, right? Those are one-off cars. I mean, I'm clicking that black Ford F-150 with the gold top because I thought there was something really interesting and sexy about it. And if you don't have if you don't have its twin brother sitting there, You're not going to sell me a car. You're not going to sell me a red Ford 500 miles away when I'm looking for that car. So you're just spinning your own wheels. I just never understood that. I never understood it.
Yeah, I don't get, I understand the philosophy, but these are very intelligent people, and the philosophy is that it's failed logic, right? Yeah. Well, it's going to generate all this activity. Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. What kind of activity do you want? Do you want activity that's going to piss people off, or do you want activity that's going to sell you a car?
Right.
I don't understand this logic.
Right.
Well, I have to have all my cars on there because it generates activity. Yeah, but dude, you're going to sell only 100 cars. That's it. You're not going to sell more.
Right.
Well, we sell stuff out of service all the time. Yes, of course, because you have a percentage of your inventory that's hot, that as it comes in, it's going to go out. But the majority of your inventory is going to be in the bronze category, and it's going to sit here. Yep. So if you start with 100 cars, you're going to sell 100 cars. Yep. If you're amazing. Most dealerships are going to sell 50% of that.
Yeah, you're going to do 50% of inventory. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, stop kidding yourself. But that's not even my thing, right? So, okay, so that's that for what it is. But then what happens is, now we look deeper. Okay, so you started with 100, now you have 70, you have less. But look at what was happening last month. The first week, you sold 20 cars, right? And your drippage was 25.
Yep.
So you were plus 5 units. This week, you sold 10. So you're negative units, right? And this negativity, this negative pattern is costing you traffic, not just today, Mr. Dealer, but it's costing you traffic 60 to 90, now 120 days because of where we are in the industry and shortages and all that stuff. Why? Because I went to your dealership today, sir, and you had 30 less cars plus 10 minus because you didn't make up the drippage of what you sold. Now you're in a deficit and I have less opportunity. So what did I do? I went there. You didn't have the car. I went somewhere else. They had the car. They captured my attention. I went back over there 4 or 5 different times and you lost the business.
Yep.
So if you're not studying your inventory to the week, if you sell 10 cars today, your objective tomorrow is to buy 10 cars.
100%. Right.
That should be your objective. If you're not maintaining that relationship, you're going to experience a decrease in activity.
Yep.
Now let's do the flip side. If you have too much, if you're too good at buying cars and now you have an overage on what I call the drippage rate, that's a problem too. You're going to have a surplus of opportunity, which is the opposite of the first scenario, but you're going to be more likely to age, right? Because now you have too much inventory. You're not unless you got to crank up the marketing and you got to do all this stuff to drive the extra traffic to get you to that place. But if you just turn the faucet on the inventory and you don't do anything on the marketing side, now you're in problem. Now you have problems because you're going to more than likely age on your inventory. So you got to pay, like sometimes the issue isn't anywhere else, but just how you're buying and how inconsistent you are from month to month and week to week. You got to look at those patterns closely. And it blows my mind how many people don't.
How often are you experiencing this in stores where guys just, and guys, gals, everybody, just as a term, are really out of tune with what the fluctuation and the patterns are that are in their store?
I'd say probably 60 to 70% of my consultations, it's not a marketing thing. Listen, it's funny because I'm a marketer, quote unquote, but I put very little value on marketing. Because marketing is not the way that we do marketing in the car business is illogical to how we run the business. We run the business on a VIN specific level, right? Everything, our stocking is VIN specifically, our recon is VIN specifically, but our marketing is a la carte. I'm going to put all my Hondas 2017s, on an ad. I'll have to put all my inventory on Auto Trader. Like it's just not, you got to get more to a VIN specific mentality because that's how you run your dealership.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can't have all these things that are VIN specific. And when it comes to marketing, it's just whatever. I'm just going to throw a wide net on everything. I want my cars everywhere. Right. You know what I mean? It just doesn't, it's a lot. And it's an illogical way of operating.
Yeah, that's an interesting
point. I don't have a lot of faith in the marketing, the value of marketing, unless you stick to a long-term
strategy.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you stick to a strategy and you don't deviate. But we do this in the car business every month.
Right.
Oh, I had a good month. It's because I signed that dealer, and then this month is shitty. Oh no, it wasn't that dealer. It was this dealer, or it was this vendor. I mean, and it's like, dude, what the hell, man? Stick to something.
Yeah, we turned on XYZ,
You know what I mean?
man, and we went up through the roof. Yeah. I mean, you did go up through the roof. Again, like you said, you had 20% surplus. You had hired you had your processes and people in place. You had a full staff. Now you've lost 3 people. You've got 10% less. Right. It's the whole process. It's the whole process. Yeah, for sure.
So
many variables.
And then we have to focus more on the training side and the development side. Like take, 50% of your marketing budget and put it into your people, man.
Amen.
Great people, great salespeople don't need marketing, because if I'm a great salesperson, I'm not going to go wait for an up on the golf cart, dude. I'm going to be on Facebook. I'm going to be asking for lists. I'm going to go outside of the dealership and hand my business card to everybody. I'm going to call my mom and my dad and my brother and my sister and send me customers. I'm not going to just sit around waiting for opportunities to fall from the sky.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The other thing I think that I've been talking to a lot of people about lately is, hey, listen, where are your where is your marketing budget at on a low level? And when I mean low level, on a personal level, with the people that you have in your store, right? Take Glenn Lundy, whatever the case may be. But if you've got 50 salespeople and you've got this, let's call it 40 grand to spend a month, right? Whatever. Well, for a pretty nominal amount of money, I mean, $8 a day, $5 a day per salesperson, and then you incentivize these folks to be able to do great work or work together as a team to build this social media platform, whether it's the cars or the education, the entertainment portion that inside the store. So few dealers that I talk to actually allocate any money specifically for those salespeople to be able to get themselves out there, because and this is so crazy, because since I've been in the car business, I've always heard, something effective. Well, you're not going to make a living just standing out there taking ups. You better be out there in the community, building your thing. But as soon as you want to go build something in the community, your manager goes, "What are you doing out there? We got cars here, bell to bell here." And you're like, dude, like you literally just told me not to take ups the rest of my life. Yeah, you literally just told me not to take ups, and now that's what you're saying, take ups. So I don't understand what it is that you want me to do here. I don't get it. But as soon as you do that, but here we have this unique opportunity, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook groups, right? There's so many things that can be easily managed for education groups or whatever. We have a ton of single women in the car business that are struggling with their children's, with those things. And you don't think that's valuable information for women to hear? For other single women to connect with, and obviously people can connect with everybody on a wide swath. But if you've got a niche, you're a young Arabic guy trying to start up in this car business. You're an old African-American guy that's trying to learn a new trick. There's a lane there that you could own and hone into for a few dollars a day. That dealer can be putting money into that literal person's advertising pocket and say, "Hey, look, we're going to load you up. Everybody gets $100 a month. If you get a really good idea and you got something you want to boost that, use that $100 how you want, but it's, can only be spent on these accounts." And then try to grow your dealership organically and then build that up while you're tagging and then you're sharing. And then all of a sudden, like you said, now you've got these marketing ideas that are organic and real because you're connecting with somebody, not some stupid family owned big inventory. Come to us. We're open Saturday. Right. So.
Yeah. Like Gary Vee said it best, man. And he was on my favorite podcast, which is the Dealer Playbook, Michael Cirillo's podcast. Been listening to that thing forever and lots of good insights. But he said, you got to be the mayor of your town, man. Like if you're selling cars, you should be, if you see a pothole in the street, you should stop, record yourself talking about that pothole. "Hey, I'm here at the corner of blah, blah, blah. There's this major pothole. If you're going to take this route today, be careful, everybody. Everybody have a good day, blah, blah, blah. Right. By the way, this is Herb from ABC Motors. If anybody needs service or they're looking for a car, make sure to hit me up. I'm here to help you with your automotive needs." Right. And do shit like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that you should be pumping out that content every single day.
Agreed.
Because believe it or not, people feel indebted to value, right? If you save me from that accident, or you saved me from this other thing. Now I feel like I owe you something. And when I think about buying a car, you're going to pop into my brain. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, this dude, I always see his videos. He's giving me 2 or 3 suggestions that have helped me. Let me go see him and, let me give him the business.
Let me give him a shot.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me at least call him. Yeah. You had touched on something earlier about helping people even if they don't buy from you. And I love that, because I've told, I don't know how many thousands of people, hey, listen, it's okay if you don't want to buy my car. I'm in the used space a lot. I like the used space. And so a lot of that's unique experience, right? When I was at Monday Chevrolet for a very long time, and I was a new car guy forever and ever and ever, because that's where the majority of our vehicles came from. It's what we had the most of. And then we had an open floor. And so there was a mix there, but I've always loved being in the used car business. I think they're all unique experiences. I love unique experiences. I love hearing about stories, but, oh man, I lost my train of thought. I must be, I'm killing it today with this thought process.
Well, you were talking about helping people.
Even if they don't buy from you. And so I've always told people probably thousands of times, hey, listen, it's okay if you don't want to buy my car. If you call me before maybe I don't have the trade value, let's say, like, hey, listen, even if you don't buy my car, do me a favor, call me with your VIN number and your miles. I'll touch base with my used car manager, or now, I can bid my own cars, whatever, as a grown up. I don't need to talk to somebody, but I can say, call me with your VIN number and your miles, and let me give you a number on it, and make sure and keep those folks honest, and make sure you're getting the best deal. Or if you need some help, if it's a new car process, let me see what I can help you with. And I've had a lot of people call me back. A lot of people call me back as a result of just offering that help, and they bought from me. They weren't calling for help. They got frustrated somewhere else, and they thought, well, hell, that guy's at least nice enough to offer to help me there. I don't want to buy anything from there because I didn't like that experience, but I'll give him the business. I'll give him the shot. And if you get in front of me, I got you. I'm going to help you.
Yeah, it's the what axiom, the right word, that, people buy from people, man.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And they got to buy a car. People have to buy a car. Where are they going to go, man? Carvana, if they're around. But other than that, it's the dealership.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're the guy that's out there bringing value, more value than that's perceived for the individual, you're going to win
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then again, it goes back to this thing. You got this platform, you have this TV station available to you 24/7 where you can post your content for free. You can edit it yourself. You can get the message out there, whatever you want, and you can create a brand around yourself as a person. Right. And if you're selling anything, then why would you not use that? Oh, I'm afraid of the camera. I don't have hair or whatever, dude. Like, who cares, man?
Yeah.
Like, you're out, believe it or not, I don't know if you know this, but you're out in the world and people see you every single day. So I don't know. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah. Nobody's ever seen you before, sir. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it's just an encouragement to people that are scared of that camera. I'll say this, you don't even have to be in front of the camera. I mean, you can add value.
You can just flip it around and talk.
Camera facing forward. Hey, listen, let me show you something really unique about these automobiles, or let me tell you where my drive is. Like you were saying on the pothole. Hey, I'm your guy out here on the street. Let me show you what I'm experiencing every day. You find that pothole, you show it. You could do it with a tripod and fill it. Nobody ever has to see. I mean, there's a million ways to do this. Sit down, spend some time, find out who you are, create whatever kind of brand you think it is that you really have uniquely to you, and then work on it. Gary Vee didn't become Gary Vee in one day, right? Like, exactly. Andrew Tate didn't blow up in 13 minutes. Joe Rogan didn't have the #1 podcast in the world in 14 minutes. I mean, nobody listened to him for 3.5 years. Now, 10 years later, 50 billion downloads or whatever. Same thing with you. We were talking about your show, and you had mentioned that you'd been on 4 years now?
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when did so give me define that traffic growth from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 to year 4. What did that look like?
Well, I remember the first couple of episodes, if we got like 10 downloads, it would be like, oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, right?
So yeah. And then, and shout out to LinkedIn, because I think that organically speaking, that's the platform that helped us the most when we were first starting out. I don't know if that's still the case with their algorithms. I know there's been some changes and stuff, but they allow you to post your content there and people see it. And that, I think that's what helped us grow. And I I wasn't the guy because I was doing everything myself. I was consulting. I was starting a business. I was doing the podcast. I was editing it. I was doing my social media, all that stuff I was doing myself.
You're singing my song, Herb.
Yeah, man. So it's like, it's a lot. You're
singing my song.
Dude, when I got an editor, I was like, dude, this is amazing. I was like, this is awesome. I don't have to do anything. I just record and done. And
I'm
Charity
really
came on
looking forward to the day where I can say that I
dude, trust me.
I have a Charity. I am so happy to say that. She's amazing, by the way. Shout out to your girl, Charity. Dope. Yeah.
And then she came on and helped out with the social media part of it and posting and all that stuff. And it's gotten easier and easier. And I think that that's helped with the growth of it. And, we've been experimenting with it, and now we're finishing up the season that we are right now, and we're going to start doing in studio for next season. So that's going to be a whole new concept and a whole new feel.
Love it.
No more interviews. It's just going to be about us giving insights and stuff like this, where I can actually give dealers and decision makers out there tips that they can, take some action with that are coming from us directly. I feel like I've had so many people on the show and I've learned a lot, and now I really want to give my secrets and my stuff that I do away for other people to use and leverage that.
That's beautiful, man. I love that. I think you got a great vibe and a great spirit. I love your show. I was joking with you earlier about just loving the intro song, but I do love that. It's quite fun. Y'all got some good stuff going on over there. I'm glad to have you on, man. It's been a real pleasure. Where can we find you at? I mean, I'll obviously put your links in the bio, but where can folks find you at, and why should they find you?
Yeah. So look, we try to be everywhere, right? So heavily invested. So I do the 80-20, 80% of our time is invested in LinkedIn, and then 20% everywhere else. But we have, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you get your podcast fix, even Amazon, we're on their platform as well. So you can find us there, and then you can visit our website at dealertalk.io. And we have we try to do a weekly blog post or article of some sort with some sort of nugget or something that's happening in the industry, or just some thoughts. So you're welcome to check that out. And if you like what you see there, you can subscribe. And every time one comes out, we'll send you an email and let you know that it's available for you to check out. Why should people connect with us? Well, look, I think that like I said earlier, the industry is in a very rapid pace. And if you don't have a digital analyst, or a data analyst rather, somebody at your dealership that's taking all this information and it's making it make sense for you and breaks it out into these very specific KPIs that you can see, where it tells you like, hey, it's not marketing, it's processes, or it's not process, it's inventory management, or it's not inventory management, it's the market, the industry. Or, yeah, your marketing isn't good and we need to adjust this. You can't just talk to each one of your vendors and be like, hey, bring me more, because the reality is that your vendors only make up a fraction of your marketing mix. Correct. And it's the combination of that mix that's going to drive the results that marketing is going to drive for your business. So it's not fair to yourself, and it's not fair to your dealerships, right? So that doesn't make sense. It doesn't work anymore. And the more advanced and the more data that's out there, the more of a disadvantage you're going to have if you don't have somebody that's analyzing that. So you can hire somebody, which is what I recommend. Like, I think that each dealership should just hire somebody, pay them a good salary, and then, this has to be somebody that's well-versed on Facebook, Google, third parties, all that stuff.
Let me jump in.
You can hire somebody
Let me ask you a question.
You can hire somebody like us.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
You were saying to have somebody in staff, and this is, I think it's interesting and important, because what would somebody like that cost, right? So what would somebody like, and obviously your company is there, but what would an in-house person cost?
Well, you got to think about it this way. It would have to be the agency approach. So you would have to have somebody that is really not, they don't have to be masters at this, but they have to understand the basics at least of Google ads. So VLAs, search ads, video pre-roll, dynamic ads, those sorts of things. Somebody that knows Facebook. And when I'm talking about Facebook, it's not just about posting, but AIA ads and how is that working? Like I said earlier, that's an interruption. It's not hey, I'm going there. I'm not capturing intent. I'm interrupting an experience. So you have to understand that. somebody that's well-versed with third parties, VDPs, impressions, leads, somebody that understands the tools that you use that are not really marketing related, like a Vin Solutions and a Viato and all these things. So I'd say it's going to be a very expensive person, right?
That was kind of my point to the thing, is that you really have to take an agency approach with something like this. It's got to be a team, because one human being dedicated to something like that has that experience, and the cost would just be astronomical to have an expert in all those fields.
Yeah, for sure. Or you can hire us, and we have the ability to, incorporate all the stuff that we know and the stuff that we see from other stores and put it in a nice package that's affordable. And, we are, we're available to you and whatever you need. And, we can talk more about that if you want to learn more, and hit us up, and we'd be more than happy to have a conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I think your company's great. I did a lot of check-in. I even checked some references. I'm not going to say who, but I've heard some really wonderful things about your company, and everything that I've met with you about so far, man, was obviously spot on, and you're tip top in my book, bro. So, I mean, great job. Great podcast. I love it. I really appreciate you coming on. Let's connect again, man, and I'll get all your links and all that stuff in the bio, but really, man, really, 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 really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, man. Thanks for having us on. And now you got to come on to our show, and we gotta flip this thing around.
I can't wait, man. I am very rarely on the other end of this thing, but I really like being there. So this is such a challenge for me to not talk, because I'm the talker. And so for me to kick back and try to learn, it's a great exercise for in education and humility for me. So I appreciate you blessing me with your time, man. Thank you.
Right on, man.
All right, brother. Cool, man.
Thanks for having us.
Cool.